When you're a follower of a mass movement, by definition, you are convinced of the veracity of your position, and that you have found some form of absolute truth. Thus we have almost all religions, political pundits, fanatical terrorists, etc. It's easy to see this in the extreme forms of religious, political, and social intolerances that splash across media headlines every day. Yet don't we all have shades of this to one degree or another? It's in our nature. When our personal truths are shattered for whatever reason, we're left adrift and often will search for some new truth to cling to. This happened to me when my certainty about Scientology was broken. Once I started unraveling the lies inherent in much of Scientology's teachings and availed myself of all the resources available on the subject, it was painfully obvious that I had been being deceived and manipulated for decades. That was a hard truth to accept. I had been so sure that I had all the answers. For years, I'd been reassuring others that they could have that same certainty if they would just learn and practice Scientology. Never mind all the things that didn't quite make sense or the gray areas we all didn't talk about. We just brushed those little questions aside. If something in Scientology didn't seem to work, it was my fault, never the subject itself. Once something like that's cracked, it's only natural to start looking for new truths and new ideas to hold on to which will give some kind of life support. It was clear to me that I was going to have to reevaluate everything I'd been taught. I was going to have to look at all of my personal beliefs and see if they were based on what I truly knew to be the case from my own experience and knowledge, or were they just based on what I was told to believe. The one thing I did not want to do was swap one cult for another, one totalitarian thought control system for another. I wanted to be able to examine evidence and facts, and in short, live in the real world and not some cult leader's fantasy. I was lucky at that moment to hit upon science and critical thinking. Specifically, these two concepts totally rocked my world. Science is not about certainty. Science is about finding the most reliable way of thinking at the present level of knowledge. Science is extremely reliable. It's not certain. In fact, not only is it not certain, but it's the lack of certainty that grounds it. Scientific ideas are credible not because they are sure, but because they're the ones that have survived all the possible past critiques, and they're the most credible because they were put on the table for everybody's criticism. The very expression scientifically proven is a contradiction in terms. There's nothing that is scientifically proven. The core of science is the deep awareness that we have wrong ideas, we have prejudices, we have ingrained prejudices. In our conceptual structure for grasping reality, there might be something not appropriate, something we may have to revise to understand better. So at any moment, we have a vision of reality that is effective. It's good, it's the best we have found so far. Science is a way of thinking much more than it is a body of knowledge. I had thought that science was all about sure and absolute knowledge of ourselves and the world. I could not have been more wrong, and it was learning how I was wrong that really convinced me that critical thinking was the key to a happy life.